Hey guys, Namdi here. Just welcome you to another edition of Halftime Chat. And hope you've been enjoying what we've been doing so far. But really excited this evening to bring out an emerging R&B artist out of Washington D.C. And for me, I guess for those of you who follow Halftime Chat would know that the majority of my guests have been a lot of our favorite legacy artists from the 90s and the 80s and early 2000s. But it's important to really talk to those who are really making music today to get their perspective of how the industry is and how they are making things happen, and probably things that some of our legacy artists can learn and stuff. So I'm going to bring in Mr. Tylan and talk to him about his journey, his music, and please feel free to join in and ask questions with him along the way. So I'm going to welcome you in.
How y'all doing?
Hey, hey, Tyler, how you doing? I'm just switching up, make sure people can get it, see you and stuff.
Oh
How you
no, you
doing this
good, you
evening?
good. Man, I'm great, man. First things first, I appreciate you having me on the platform, man. This is a dope opportunity. Um, I'm getting to go international a little bit over into the UK, so I'm
Yeah.
super excited to be on your platform, man. I appreciate it again.
Yeah, no, it's good to be able to speak to you. And as I said in the intro, a lot of the guests that I've spoken to have been guests who in the '90s were on top of their game, and
Hmm.
so music was a lot different. We had what the labels gave us, we
Facts.
consumed. The industry's changed. I think recently we just heard about Warner Brothers and other labels just cutting staff because they can't figure out how to make money as a label. So I guess part of our interview will be understanding what's it like being an artist today.
Hmm.
Um, but we'll get there. Um, I introduced you that you're from DC, but can you say more about what it was like growing up in DC?
Growing up in DC, it was incredible, man. It's a dope culture. They call it Chocolate City. I really didn't go outside really too much growing up because it was a lot of violence in the community that's took place in my family. So I really didn't get a chance to like really go outside till I like moved out into the suburbs. But I still went to school in DC my whole life, and it was just great. I was influenced a lot by the music I was hearing from Go Go to the legends that come from DC like Marvin Gaye or Tank, Genuine. So we had a lot of great culture of R&B coming from the city and just music in general. So it was very influential. Not to mention that my great grandmother, she's known as the first lady of blues in DC, Mary Jefferson, and so yeah, growing up in the city, it was big and and very influential in where I am today currently with my music.
Yeah, you mentioned about DC. I mean, some of us, I don't know, you may not be old enough to remember the former mayor, Marion
Marion
Barrier.
Barry.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's so crazy you bring him up. We were just talking about him last night. My mom and my grandma and my aunt, they were educating me about how influential he was and how big he was in the community. And telling me crazy stories about how he was in prison, and then as soon as he
yeah.
got out, he was married again. Like they were just telling me a whole bunch of stuff. So yeah, that's before my era, but I definitely know who Marion Barry is and what he stands for in our city.
Yeah, I think, well, I guess for those of us who are international now, I went to college in the States, in Alabama
Okay, fire.
and Milwaukee, and I lived out in LA. But DC was, even though it's the capital of the country, it was always
Hmm.
known as probably one of the most dangerous area per mile, the most dangerous cities
Hmm.
in the country. And so it seems so strange to find this is the seat of government, but DC itself can be dangerous.
Yeah.
Um, but you mentioned growing up that you sort of didn't go out as a result of the challenges and dangers of being in DC.
Yeah, so my grandma's oldest child, my uncle, he tragically was murdered in 1996,
Wow.
7 years before I was born. So, and my mom and her, that was her older brother. They had a very strong relationship, and they said when I was born that I came out looking just like him. So I guess that was like subconsciously she didn't want me to be in that type of environment. So they kind of limit my time of going outside and just being. I couldn't do like regular kid things like go play hopscotch, go to the basketball court or go jump rope until I like I said until I moved out into the suburbs because they just wanted to keep that hedge of protection around me just because of all the violence that took place. Not just with my uncle, but I have other family members that were tragically, taken from us. Like you said, because DC was such a, they called it the murder capital of the world. They even made they made the NBA team the Wizards. They were formerly the Bullets. They made them change their name to the Wizards because
Wow.
of all the violence. So yeah, it was that also played an impact into the person that I am today just because of that. So yeah.
Yeah, how did that impact you? I mean, it'd be interesting just to find out.
Like I said, because I wasn't able to do like kid things
Mm,
like because I had to learn about tragedy at a young age.
yeah,
And I don't think any child should have to do that. I see all my friends going outside. Why do I feel like I'm being held back from having a good time or having fun? But I had to, like I said, learn things at a young age that I wished I didn't have to. But it's ultimately made me the person I am today, and it makes me cautious. It's like environments that I'm in. Um, so yeah, that's
yeah.
that's the impact that
But
it had
but
on
but
me.
as a recording artist, I wonder, do you write songs or
Absolutely,
okay? How,
absolutely.
did that impact any of the songs you wrote or or the stories you told?
Yeah, so I've been tapping in more into because I started singing when I was 15, like professionally, and I was with great writers at that time and great production teams. So um majority of the time they would just write records for me and I would just go in and sing because I was just
Mm,
so eager and happy to be in the studio. But over the
yeah,
past year, I would say I've really been tapping into just talking about my own story. Not saying that I wasn't doing that in the past, but just taking more of the lead and the storytelling that I want to tell in my music. And some of the newer tracks that I've been working on, I definitely have talked about how that is my upbringing of being in such a violent area at that time impacted the person I am today. And yeah, just all of that. I
yeah,
just been tapping in more into being more vulnerable and just letting people know like what I went through, and because more times than not, people have gone through the same things that you have. So it's just me being more open and more vulnerable, and just really telling my story.
yeah. Well, you mentioned that you at 15 that you started singing, but how did you? But you also mentioned about your grandmother
Hmm.
um, f- being from the in the sort of the blues.
Yeah, she's the
From your
first.
point
She's
of
not the first lady of blues in the
okay,
city. Yeah.
now okay, so you with an international audience, when you talk about the blues, I guess you may have to expatiate on what type that song what that really means. I mean, I'm thinking, is it like BB King kind of blues, or is this definitely different?
Yeah, I would say it's in that BB King. Um, who else? One of her best friends was I'm forget Ella Fitzgerald was one of her best friends.
Okay, okay,
So in that kind of vein. And my whole family was in music. Her husband, my great grandfather, he was her drummer and he could sing as well. My granddad, he was a singer in the 50s and the 60s. He actually had his own group and had an imprint with Capitol Records. I don't know too
wow,
much about that, but that's he's told me about that before. My mom has since he's passed, and my grandmother was a singer. My mom was a singer before I was born, so it's in my blood.
yeah, and I guess then y- one of the things of the generations of your grandparents
Hmm.
and even your parents, they would probably be of a generation where you're talking about growing up in DC and dealing with gun violence and things. They're of a generation where segregation and
Hmm.
civil rights was an issue, which might have impacted and affected what they wrote and sang about. um, how much of their upbringing and their struggles did you learn about?
Oh, a lot. My grandmother, she loves history. So
Mm.
she always is telling me about those days. She's so my pastor that was at my home church. It's called New Bethel Baptist Church. His name is Reverend Fauntroy, Walter E. Fauntroy. He was heavily involved in the civil rights movement. So there would be times when Martin Luther King would stop by the church, and my
Mm.
grandma and her friends would be like, "Oh, Mr. Martin," and she said it was a parade that came by, and Martin Luther King was in the parade, and she was saying, "Why is Mr. Martin up there on the float?" And they was like, "Girl, that's Martin Luther King." And she was like, I didn't." No idea. So she tells me stories like that all the time, about the March on Washington and how Reverend Fauntroy was heavily involved in bringing that together in DC. She's told me about shoot a lot of things, so that's played a heavy impact on me because I'm big into history, just outside of music and just just studying. I love studying things, so
Yeah.
their stories have definitely shaped who I am today, just based off of this struggle that they went through for sure.
I asked this because I moved to America in '92,
Okay.
and I was in and I stayed in Selma, Alabama.
Mm,
And so anyone who might
rich
say,
history.
yes, so
Yeah.
where they there was no blacks weren't allowed to vote. Martin Luther
Hmm.
King came down to march from Selma to Montgomery. When I moved to Selma in '92, the mayor Smithman, who was the mayor when that stopped the march, was still the mayor in '92 when I was in there.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, wow, yeah. So
Wow.
it really freaked me out the fact that this man could still be around and still running the city, in '92, from we're talking about 67, 66, and all
Definitely.
those times. And so, but also, being born in the UK, family in Nigerian, coming to America and just hearing the history and understanding that actually my parents, if they were born in the States, they would have experienced segregation and racism, and I would have been hearing about their first-hand experience, and that would shape how I saw the world. Probably very negative, probably
Right.
ready to be very much ready to fight. And I saw a lot of friends who I went to college with in that mindset of we can't trust the man, this,
Hmm.
the ceiling and stuff. Where I couldn't see that because that wasn't my upbringing, that wasn't
Right.
my stuff. You're probably more, I would say, third generation because
Hmm.
if you were born in the 2000s, that means you've got your parents who would have heard what has happened. Is it still? How is it for you? Are you a little bit more removed from those stories and of black civil rights and the challenges, or does it still seem close?
Well, it's like you just said, not trusting the man. I mean, if you open our phones and go on social media, you still see, you know, uh, things that you wouldn't classify as, right. So yeah, I don't think we're that far removed. I feel like we definitely taken some steps forward, but yeah, we definitely got still a long way to go before we start seeing the things that we would want to see as African Americans, people, but just as a country and as a
Yeah,
people in general, not just this country, but I feel like the world. So yeah, that stuff still hits home to me. I mean, you turn on Marvin Gaye, what's going on, all that stuff
yeah,
that was he thinking about in those records are still prevalent today in this time, and that's what you call a timeless record. You know what I mean? So that's something that I strive to create. 50 years from now, people will still turn on a Tylan album and say, this all this stuff that was going on then is still going on now, or it still resonates. I won't say hopefully the stuff that we're seeing now isn't going on in the next 50 years, but it still resonates in your soul. So yeah, I'm definitely still close tied to the stuff that's going on.
and I'm maxing this because when we do start getting into the music, I want us to go back to some of the things we've been talking about.
Hmm.
But we go back a little bit and think about at 15, what made you decide, I want to get into this industry of singing?
Yeah, so it's a funny story. So I actually developed a passion and a love for music. I would say at the age of 2 to 3 years old. coming out the womb, I was singing Usher. You know, that's my favorite artist. And yeah, yeah, and I grew up. My grandmother, she worked at Howard University in fine arts, in the College of Fine Arts, and every summer they had a theater camp called TCTW, where they would teach us, acting, singing, and dancing. And that's why I developed a love for performing. And from the ages from 6 to 13, that's what I did every summer. And then when I got into middle school, I hit puberty, and I was a teenager. I was like, man, I'm not into that stuff no more. I'm just into, sports, going to school and girls. That was it. But something that I realized that I had a knack for, I still could sing. So I would sing periodically, in middle school to the girls. And girls and some of my friends, like my brothers, they'll come up to me and be like, bro, like, you could really sing, right? And I'm like, yeah, I can, but like, that's not what I want to do, because I wanted to go into politics. I wanted to be the president. That was my dream growing up.
Oh, president of what?
Of the United States. That was
Okay.
my dream growing up. Well, I was 5 years old when President Obama was elected, and that
Ah.
that when I saw that, I understood the significance of it. Even like I was just telling you my history, so I'm around these people, and I understood the significance of what was going on. So that was my dream. So I was staying focused on becoming president of the United States, and people just kept nagging me about music, like, Ty, like, you should really sing. And then I started thinking about it, and I was like, shoot, maybe I can do this. And I finally got enough courage to go up to my mom, and I told my mom, like, Mom, I want to sing. And she was like, taking out of left field. She was like, I thought you wanted to be the president. You want to sing? I'm like, yeah, I want to sing. So she like will sing for me real quick. And to this day, she's the only person that I cannot sing for, like, just one on one. Like, if she came down here right now and said, Tylan, sing me a song, I would choke. And like, she's the only person that I can't sing for. So she said, okay, since you can't sing for me, I'm gonna take you to your aunt, who is a vocal coach. It was my aunt, who actually just passed away recently. So I'm still kind of dealing
Oh,
with that. But
gee.
yeah, but she's a vocal. She was a vocal coach, and she's worked with a lot of people. She actually worked with Raheem Devon, who is also from DC.
Mm.
She worked with a lot of jazz singers in DC as well. But she told me, she said, if she says you can sing, then we'll see what we can do with it. And I had that lesson with my aunt, and I had her in tears, and that's when I knew. I was like, okay. I said I can do this, and she was the one that instilled the confidence in me. Because I remember I used to sing with my eyes closed all the time. And she was the one, like, boy, like, you got a voice, like walking to your calling. And she was, like I said, she was that one that really, like, instilled that confidence in me. So her passing recently, that was like real tough for me, because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be singing right now. So but I'm gonna continue to carry her name forward. And when I tell
Mhm.
the story of how I you know got into the space that I'm in now, I'm always you say her name in the highest regard. But yeah, that's my story of how I started.
Wow. I mean, sorry to hear about your aunt. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, When you do have a pedigree of family members who sing and
Mhm.
like that, is there, I wouldn't say, I mean, was it always an inevitable that actually that's something that you definitely would be able to do? Or because I do wonder why you decided to give up on trying to make a difference as going into politics and thought, that just sing instead.
Well, I wouldn't say I gave up completely on politics, because I know I've done my research on the different presidents, and Bill Clinton was he played this trumpet, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ronald Reagan was an actor. So who's to say? I don't know what God has in store for me, at that point right now. And I'm actually going to school for political science in college. So I mean, who's to say? Like I said, I don't know what God has in store for me in that right now, but I just know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Um, and yeah, like that. Music is just it for me right now. And it wasn't. I wouldn't say it was any. Would you say it was that I have any, like, pressure on me? Like,
Yeah, I mean, as I said, if you've got your
mhm.
grandparents and and everyone else singing, is their sense of okay, we're just going to follow the family tradition, or
Yeah,
was it? Yeah,
yeah. I don't know. Like, I don't know as a child, because I'm a type of person, when I set my mind on something, I'm always focused on trying to get to that. So music and singing was just never. Once I made that decision at 5 years old that I was going to be the president, um, music was kind of just like, okay, that's not even a thing. It wasn't until, and that's why I owe a lot to my friends in middle school that told me like, Ty, you can do this, because they were the ones that just kept planting the seed until ultimately I subconsciously was like, you like, shoot, let's do it, let's try it,
Yeah.
until it got to my conscious, and I was just like, hey, Ma, can I sing? Like, well, how would that work if I wanted to, sing and do that at a high level? And that's where it's led me to today.
What about instruments and to support? Or did you get into learn anything, keys or drums or guitar?
Yeah, I learned the keys when I was a kid. And that's something I wish like I would have known that I was gonna continue. Well, not even continue. I was gonna sing professionally, because I wouldn't have stopped. My
Okay.
grandma and my granddad, they were huge on wanting me to play the piano, because my granddad was like a kid prodigy. He could play um almost all the instruments. He could sing, he could write. So he was like a kid prodigy. Everyone always tells me. So they were big on wanting me to play the piano. So I played the piano from like the ages of 6 to 11 or 12, and
Uh,
then it was around that same time when I made that transition. Was like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. So I kind of just put that all to the side. I am trying to relearn, like, it's muscle memory. So I still know where like middle C is, and I still know how to play certain chords, or, if I hear a song, I'm able to like kind of track, but I'm not where I could have been if I would have
yeah.
kept playing. But I mean, I'm young. I can still, get back on it. So that's definitely something I'm interested in doing for sure.
You know, Jermaine Dupri. I don't know if you know So So Def.
Of course.
Yeah, okay. I have to always check, your generation and stuff. So
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
I feel it. I feel it.
So he was saying recently that one of the things that really hampered R&B music is that we're not producing enough artists coming from the church.
Hmm.
And when we go back to the 80s and the 90s, I, we would probably say 90% of our producers, songwriters, and artists were learning their trade in church. Majority of them will all come and say, "Yep, yeah, we sang in the choir,
Hmm.
we were sort of playing and stuff." So that was their home, their ground, and just like Showtime and Apollo back in the day, you couldn't be up there if you didn't know. It may be the church, but they would be open and they speak the truth in love. You suck, get back.
Yeah,
So you had to
absolutely.
be good. Um, then we got into the 2000s and auto tune, and we got everyone became a producer, everyone could be a beat
Hmm.
maker, and our singers aren't coming from the church, and we're not getting the authenticity, the vulnerability, the structure, the writing in our artists today. uh, your just trying to understand your journey and
Hmm.
seeing, okay, how did you was the church any influence in how you sang? Or because you started at 15, was it stuff that you sang outside and you didn't really invest in your musicianship and singing in an environment like the church?
Well, no, I actually did sing in the church choir as well. Like I was in the youth choir when I was a kid. Like I got camcorder footage of me singing lead solos at like the ages of 3 and 4. So yeah, I definitely agree to a point with what Jermaine put out recently. Because that's just my story. That happens to just be, what I was brought up on. Um,
Mm,
but I still feel like we got a lot of good singers out here that I mean may or may not have come from the church, because I don't know everyone's story, but I know for me that I definitely was involved in the church, and that also played an impact. And just seeing my mom, kill solos almost every Sunday, like, man, that was inspiring to me as well. My grandma had too. Like I don't want to exclude her. My grandma used to sing so. So, and going to choir rehearsal with them every Tuesday and Thursday, and just hearing, great, not singing but singing. You know what I mean? Like
mm,
singing. So It's definitely been influential in where I am and the artist that I am today for sure.
Okay, okay. So the so are you at Howard as well?
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, my
Uh,
grandma. If you go on my TikTok, I got pinned up. That's probably my most popular TikTok right now that I have. I posted a video of my grandma. She was an academic coordinator, so like she helped the students get in, like when they were coming
okay.
in as freshmen, and then they had to go to her when they were graduating, to make sure that they paid their balances off and that their grades were right and all of that stuff. So she helped Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace to the King T'Challa, Taraji, even
Mm,
Vice President Kamala Harris. Shoot, who else? It's so many names that she's Anthony Anderson.
mm,
Who else? It's like I said, it's so many names that I could name you right now that she's worked with. And the last dean that just stepped down, who like I said, was my grandma's boss, Felicia Rashad. She just left. She's no longer the dean now, but she did an amazing job, and that was my grandma. Before my grandma retired, that was her last, authority, I would say.
okay.
Um, yeah, going up at Howard, that man, I remember leaving school every day and just going up there flirting with the girls. Like that's where I get kind of like my swag from. Just being a little kid with that much confidence, walking up to grown women saying like, "Hey, let me get the number." You know what I mean? Like doing stuff like that. Shoot, my middle school was on Howard University's campus. Like I went. My middle school is called Howard University Middle School MS2, for mathematics and science. It's a STEM school, and that's where my career was kind of like rebirthed, I would say, because I always had it in me, but like I told you, I walked away from it, and that was where it kind of started coming back. So Howard, it will always play a huge role in my life.
Yeah, what's it like being at historic black college? Because it is. I went to a HSB,
See you.
HB, yeah, CU in
Mm-hmm.
Selma. So that was Selma Concordia College in Selma. So it was a historical black college. And then, it was only a junior college, and so I had to
Got you.
transfer to Wisconsin to finish up in university, and that was, there was like 10% blacks in the whole university, so it was different from going to university, a college where was everyone was black, and
Mm-hmm.
the dean and everyone, and then you move away, and in some sense it was like you get empowered and encouraged in the black college, and you go into the big university, and it's like the reality of, wow, so this is like life. So
Mm-hmm.
it toughens you up in a different way. Being in Howard, does it feel as if you're prepared for the world when you finish?
See, I wasn't a student, but just based off of what I hear and what I saw, I would definitely say absolutely. I feel like, I mean, it doesn't get no bigger than Kamala coming from there. Kamala, graduated from there. So, yeah, I definitely feel like Howard prepares you for the next step in life and just going into the community and making a difference, because we have so many influential players that have come out of there. So absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the. Be honest, if I didn't grow up on Howard's campus, I probably would have wanted to go to Howard. But just me, being on the campus all my life, it was like, I want something different. But yeah, I definitely think I would have went to Howard for sure if I hadn't grown up on the campus.
Okay. So music wise, so let's talk about when you mentioned being influenced by Usher.
Hmm.
What was it about Usher? And I have to understand, because when Usher first came out, um, I think it was 94, 95.
94, yep, like
Okay,
94, yep.
94.
Hmm.
You weren't born, were you?
No, 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 no,
So,
nah,
my,
before my time.
okay. My favorite Usher album was his debut album. By the
Really?
way, yeah, it had it
Wow.
was yeah, I think it's still his best album. A very uptown type of album, because it had Chucky Thompson.
Hmm.
It had Devontae Swing, Faith Evans. It had Alexander Morgan. It had Albie Shaw and Keith Calwell. It was just packed with the it producers and the
Right.
sound at the time. I like what Jermaine did, subsequently, but with My Way and the rest. But I think his
Yeah.
first album was like sonically one of his best, probably his
You're
best.
you're actually one of the only people. You actually might be the only person I know that says that his first album is their favorite. So that's a first. That's dope. I like his first album too. I think he definitely has some great records on there. But personally, my favorite is obviously Confessions, because that's
Confessions.
that's just what that's what I grew up on. I mean, I was born in '03, so yeah, everybody tells me that '03 is like one of the best years of music. Yeah, it came out, I want to say, somebody, I gotta look at the research, but somebody said yeah was, because I know for a fact yeah was one of the first lead singles, but I think someone told me that it came out in 2003. Um, and that was like my mom said, anytime that would come on, like I would just start doing somersaults in her stomach. So like yeah is whole special place in my heart. 87, I love 8701. That whole 3 album set that he did with Jermaine, all amazing albums. My Way, 8701 and Confessions. But like I
Yeah.
said, personally, Confessions is my favorite, just because the time period, and me being born at that time. And I literally feel like it's no skips on that album. That might be the best male R&B album in the 2000s, in my opinion. Like it's
Okay.
definitely up there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I mean, as I said, most people would probably go with Confessions because it was his biggest selling
Right.
album. 94 was probably in the 90s, 94, 95. That's was sort of peak when we had some amazing albums.
Hmm.
Mary's um, My Life album, TLC, Boys to Men, Jody Ciola's big albums started coming out. I mean, it was, every week you're fighting for which 3 albums can you buy, because there were 8 of them that just come out on that same week, and you're like, man, I don't know which to get. That's how big it was. Um,
I was about to say, you named some. That was a great year of music too. Just off of those names you named, they dropped all
yeah,
albums that year. That's crazy.
but I get there because one of the things that why we appreciate the 90s, and the 80s had some great music, in the 70s as well, but specifically the
Absolutely.
90s was the fact that there was the vocalists, both male and female, were very distinct in their singing,
Hmm.
their how their tone and their style, and you could recognize a Maxwell, you can recognize a Donnell Jones, you can recognize Aaron Hall, or R. Kelly vocally. You just didn't even have to see the name; you just hear them and say, "Oh, I know who that is."
Right.
With the females, we had the same thing with Tony Braxton, Mary J. Blige, Faith Evans. Um, you could just hear them and say, "Oh, I know who that is." Even Usher.
Hmm.
That has changed in the last 5 years, where
Hmm.
both female and male artists, we can, unless someone tells me who's singing, it sounds very similar than every other artist,
Hmm.
and that is one of the disappointments that we have, is that vocally everyone tries to fit in and into a particular box, and lyrically they're also writing about the same thing. And
Hmm.
so, we go back to your influences, and thinking, how do you balance trying to become relevant, and sing, and try and make sure that people are listening to the songs and the structure, what you're performing, but also trying to think about the history that you've discussed, the injustice, and what you experienced growing up in DC, and thinking, can I take a risk and be like a Marvin Gaye, sing about some of the things that are going on, but also vocally be very different, where people could then recognize my voice and not have to see my name to know who I am.
Right. I think it's a very thin line. and it's all about how you just go about it per record. Just trying to figure out first, like, cause my process, I usually try to pick out a beat first, or I'll either um craft something new. I've been doing that recently. Working with producers and cooking up stuff from scratch, and kind
Mm,
of just letting the song tell me. Something that I heard Michael Jackson say a lot is that songs write themselves. We don't write the songs. Like, it's a divine thing that happens
mm,
when you write a record. And I experienced it for myself for the first time with my last single, Won't Get It. Um and thankfully I've been capturing all this stuff on footage. So maybe one day I'll do like a Kanye documentary or something so that everybody can see. But I'll never forget that session in my house in New York. Um and it was like something just came over me, and I started singing the melodies, and started saying words. And shout out my big brother Marcus that was there with me. He was like, bro, that was the uh hardest freestyle I ever heard anybody do. He was like, not only is that the hardest freestyle I heard you do before, that was the hardest freestyle I ever heard any artist that I've worked with do. And it just was a testament to show like it wasn't me. Like, even when I watch it back, I don't even remember
mm,
a lot of the things that was taking place during that session. And that song means so much to me because that is one of the records where I am getting more vulnerable. I'm talking about my struggles with mental health, me being in therapy, me going having suicidal thoughts, contemplating quitting music, and talking about how um just us as a world, like we're so quick to judge people. In the chorus, I say some might do drugs, some might do clubs, mistreating love, but I can't judge. Like, we all got our own problems, and we all have our own coping mechanisms for how we deal with the stuff that we go through on a day-to-day basis. But we shouldn't be quick to judge people because we got our own things that we're dealing with, and some people may not agree with how we deal with them. So it's records like that. I think, like I said, to answer your question, I just think that you just gotta find that balance and let the song speak to you. And try not to force it. That's something that I've been learning a lot in this process of me taking more ownership of the music and of the lyrical content that I'm putting out there. Um, just letting it flow, not trying to put certain things that shouldn't be there. Don't force it. Just let the song create itself, as Michael Jackson was saying. He's the greatest. So if
mm.
that's something the greatest said, then I should be listening to that.
Yeah, it's interesting because I said the bulk of the music that we heard in the 90s was the theme was always about love,
Hmm.
relationships, and this is how you should treat me, or come, I'm going to look after you and stuff. So it was the bulk
Facts.
of it. What you mentioned is quite interesting, because I was listening to an interview by an artist here in the UK called Stormzy,
Hmm.
and he was speaking about when he struggled his depression, and he had to, when he overcame it. The way music is today is that you actually, um, back in the day, it's like, if you're whatever you're going through, you just keep it to yourself. Don't
Hmm.
say much, because it could affect your sales. But music is different, where people then think, I can be a little bit more vulnerable and share, look, this is what I've experienced, because somebody might relate, and somebody might be able to get the support and help. How hard was it for you to be able to think about the challenges you were going through mentally,
Hmm.
and then say, I'm going to put this to music and actually let people know?
Well, first things first, something my grandma always says to me that I hold near and dear to my heart is that you don't go through what you go through just for yourself. You go through it to possibly help somebody else. Your
Mm,
testimony could potentially save somebody. You just never know. Even if it saves one person, you save someone, and you help them. So that's something I think about a lot. And just me being in therapy, I feel like I've just been more open minded to being more vulnerable. Just period, not in just music, but in life in general. I would consider myself a introverted extrovert. Like, I'm very closed off and close to the vest. I don't really like to disclose too much information. But just thinking about that saying that I just said that my grandma has told me, thinking about all the things me and my therapist have talked about over the past, and it doesn't feel like it's been this long, but I've been in therapy now for 4 years. But just you're just thinking about all the things that me and her talk about. It's kind of easy now for me to be vulnerable because I don't know what listener or what fan, and I don't even like to call the people that listen
Mm.
to me fans. Like we're a community, you know. We're all trying to get better and improve ourselves on a day to day. But like I was saying, people that listen to me, I could be saving somebody and don't even know it, you know. And when I have tough times, I always think about that when I'm thinking about like I feel like I should be further along in my career. It's like no, I'm right where I'm supposed to be right now. God has a plan for me, and I'm just need to continue the course. But it's somebody out there, at least somebody's listening to me, and some people have told me that they've had an impact to what I've been saying. And they've been taking keen to the new music that I've been putting out, and I'm excited to release more and put out my first project. So yeah, to answer your question again, it's become like second nature to me, to be honest, to just tell my story.
So I am very fascinated because I know that there is generally a stigma within the Black community when it comes to mental health
Hmm.
and admitting that there's a challenge and actually then seeking help.
Hmm.
So it is a surprise, but almost a welcome surprise to hear you being this honest about. Yep, you struggled for about 4 years getting a therapist, and it's very rare for black people, especially males, to actually seek help, admit there's an issue, and seek help.
Hmm.
How what changed? What Why are you so different? What happened?
Well, I give big credits to my mom for that. When my granddad passed in 2019 to lung cancer, I really went through. That was the toughest time of my life, from losing him to us going through COVID. Like the span of
Mm,
2019 that he died October 30th, 2019. So we're coming up on the 5th year anniversary in a couple weeks. But from 2019 up into 2022, when I moved to Atlanta, like I went through the worst time of my life. That was it was really bad mentally for me because I had went through so much, but it started off with him. But what got me into therapy, like I said, I give all the credit to my mom. She saw that I was hurting and that I was in pain. And like I just told you before, like I'm an introverted extrovert, and I like to
mm,
keep things close to my chest. And I was a part of that stigma, that black men especially are supposed to be strong, like we're not supposed to cry, or nothing's supposed to be wrong with us. And I was a part of that for a while, and until I started doing some things that was out of character for me, that I knew that I wouldn't be doing if I wasn't in the mental space that I was in, just doing things just to try to feel something. That's when I was like, okay, I need help. Like I need to buy into this. And that's something that I want to preach to the youth, and to just men in general, black men, but just black men first, more specifically, but just people in general. Like it's okay to not be okay. The name of my project is called I Don't Know For Real. And the reason why I named it that is because um I feel like that there's this thing about life that we're supposed to have everything all figured out. um and I feel like I, we're never gonna have the answers to everything. Me and my grandma was just having a conversation. We're never in control. Like this life could be gone in an instant, and that's just something I want to shed more light on, and just let people know that it's okay to not be okay. And I feel like when we finally make that decision mentally, and we know that we're not okay, and that we don't have all the answers, that's when you start to see the beauty in life more. And that's just something I can't wait to expand upon, not just in my music and on this project that I'm about to release, but just period throughout life.
so you might not realize that I started this channel just after lockdown.
Mm.
I'm a therapist, but I work with
Wow.
so I work with under 21s down to 5 years old, so up to 21, and then with families. And the reason I started the channel was to be able to, through the interviews, to get people who were big in the '90s talk about their challenges. What was it like when they lost their label deal? What was it like when they weren't performing, and having them show their vulnerability, but also saying that they needed to reach out for help. So I've
Hmm.
had guests talk about, almost taking their lives, and guests talking
Hmm.
about dealing with depression and all of these things. And it's really to make sure that everyone listening can actually see that actually if people who have been, made all this money and stuff can struggle, the rest of us can struggle. So it's been really helpful just to be able to hear even someone as young as yourself even being open and honest about that,
Hmm.
because um, yeah, that's my 9 to 5, is being a therapist,
Wow.
and really trying to break down the barriers for our black men, because there are not that many black male therapists out there, so we don't get many black males coming forward for support because they don't
Right.
necessarily see anyone
See
like
someone
them.
like them. Right.
Yeah, and it wasn't a barrier for you because you mentioned your therapist as a female. So I guess
Hmm.
you just needed to talk to somebody, so you didn't mind if it was male or female.
Yeah. Once I started, like I said, making decisions that I knew that I wouldn't be making if I was in my right state of mind.
Mm.
I knew I needed help, and I actually remember the conversation like it was yesterday when I told my mom like I need to go to therapy, like I need it, and it's crazy because even when I said that and I got to that first session, I didn't want to do it. Me and my therapist laugh about it to this day. Um, we were laughing about it last week in my session last week. She was saying, you didn't even want to do this, and I was like, yeah, I didn't. And it wasn't until I started, breaking down as to what my core issues were and why I was, in the mental state that I was in. Um, it wasn't until then when I started to see certain things. But no, like you said, I just needed to talk to somebody.
Mm.
I didn't care who it was, as long as they had good energy. Um, yeah, as long as they had good energy and they were able to get through to me and help me in certain situations and help me see things from different points of view, that's all I cared about. Because I at that point I just really needed it. But I agree with what you're saying, that may be a thing as to why black men aren't stepping up, because they don't see people in the community like them, that's in this field that can help them like yourself. So I appreciate you just even being in that space, because we definitely need more like you for sure. So
Yeah,
I'm giving your flowers right now. I'm say I appreciate you just for
yeah.
just being that.
Yeah, but I must, and I appreciate that, and as I said, the fact that you've been really open about this, and I actually did like, wouldn't get it. Um, I like the, what was the, at the background there was almost like you were laughing, and so
Yeah, yeah.
what was the deal with that?
So it's funny. I actually, it's more to that. I wanted the engineer to turn it up some more, and maybe I'll get it remixed and do that. But me and my bro Marcus, we were just having fun at that point, just doing riffs and runs, and I was just like, man, like I got through it, and I could just sit and laugh, because it was like, man, like I had really been through the ringer, like I said, from 2019 up into 2022 when I moved to Atlanta for the first time. um I went through so much, like,
Mm,
just even outside of COVID. I lost my granddad, and like I said, me and my dad don't have the best relationship. So me and my granddad was like my dad, in a sense.
mm,
I learned how to be a man and learn the values that I have in this life from him. He
mm,
a part of that holy trinity that I like to call them: my mom, my grandma, and him. So
yeah.
losing him was really hard. And then, not to mention, we go through COVID. I can't make music, so I'm just in my thoughts. I lose one of my great uncles to COVID in New York, and New York
Mm,
was really bad during COVID. So we don't even know where his body is. We think they just dumped him off with the other people that was unfortunately
wow.
died from the virus. So we don't even know where he is. I met a certain somebody during this time, and that didn't work out. My uncle was tragically murdered in DC, and he was like that next person in line that I thought was going to be that father figure for me. Um, and he was taken from me. It was just so much, man. I could get emotional right now just thinking about it, but that's that's why I was laughing at the end of that record, because it's just
Mm.
like I got through it. God, gave me the strength to get through it, and now it's my job to pay it forward to help somebody else. Whether it could be somebody older than me, it could be somebody my age, it could be the next generation. As long as I'm helping somebody and I'm inspiring, that's really all I care about.
Wow. Yeah, I can imagine. That was a really challenging time for a lot of us.
Right.
That was a really challenging time for a lot of us, and even as a therapist, and I was treating people from home for the first time, and I'll be having sessions with people with young kids who are going through depression, and but back in the day, I'd go to my clinic, have those sessions, and then
Hmm.
I'll drive home, and I can forget about everything. But then I'm at home having those sessions, and then I was just carrying all of that. I couldn't leave the
Right.
house, um, and it was building. It was building. Sadly, my dad came to visit, caught COVID, and passed away.
Mm,
And then it was almost like, yeah, I think I was off for 3 months. Nothing mattered anymore.
yeah.
And but I had to get I reached out, got a therapist. She wasn't great, but I was able to use the opportunity to try and understand how did I get here in the first place. And I
Yeah.
kind of realized that as much as my dad was my hero and everything, um, faith wise, I could accept that it was his time, even though
Hmm.
he could have, just 77. But I understood that actually I hadn't dealt with the fact that my whole life had changed, and I hadn't managed that. And so,
Right.
but I needed somebody that didn't know me. Just as I'm talking, all of a sudden my mind's processing, and like, oh, now I know what I was doing, and I
Right.
was able to get out of it. But I spent 6 weeks in therapy. So
They say your therapist needs a therapist, man. So
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I get supervision every 2 weeks. I even I supervise. I think I supervise 10 or 11 people, but
Wow.
I also need supervision so that when if I'm carrying case, I need to be able to offload because you
Right.
just can't keep it in,
Hmm.
keep all that stuff in. But yeah, understanding that it isn't I took a 3 month break from the channel
Hmm.
because I was so busy. I was interviewing almost every other day,
Wow.
and I was doing my work and I had my family, and so I was getting stressed over the summer. And I just stopped. I just stopped. I said no, no more interviews, no nothing, and I've only slowly gone back. I've only just slowly, I think, just over the last couple of days, I've just slowly come back because
Wow.
I've recognized, okay, I'm in a better space to be able to continue. So I always know now to keep checking myself because I can't be preaching and not being
Not. Yeah.
and not taking care of myself as well. So I do appreciate how your vulnerability and things are. And I
Uh,
wonder, musically, is it going to be an EP, an album, or
yeah.
what are
It's
you
a,
going?
it's a 7 song EP. Yes, this is what I've been working on for the past 6 years. I remember being 15 because my first album was really supposed to come out on my 16th birthday. That was the plan.
Okay.
It was gonna be my 16th birthday, 16 songs. That was the plan, and
Okay.
it ended up not coming out. And then I started working with my unc RL from Next, and my big bro B Flat, who is one of his producers, and was working on some music with them. And thought that another project was gonna come out. It didn't come out. But now what I've realized over the last year, me kind of just going through this rebrand that I've been going through, and just self reflection. It was the reason why I didn't drop that music then, because it wasn't me. I mean, it was
Mm,
me. It was my voice. It was some of my story, but it wasn't 100% authentically me being 100% vulnerable. It wasn't me all the way. It wasn't
mm,
me steering the wheel. It wasn't me driving the car. So there was a reason why it's taking this long for me to get to this point to be ready to put out a full body of work. But I'm super excited because I'm telling it all. I'm telling my story. And I know it's gonna be somebody out there that can relate to it. And can be inspired by it, and that's truly all that matters.
So when you put up My Type with Soldier Boy, was that the ode, or was that part of the journey, or what was that?
That was just that wasn't the Tylan that I am now. That was still young Tylan that was just excited to be in the studio making music. And then I mean I'm appreciative that Soldier Boy got on the record.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a big thing. Yeah.
And did the video with me. He was super cool, gave me a lot of advice. People would ask my friends and my family. It was like, yo, I know he was doing some off the wall stuff. I was like, nah, he was real chill. Like I said, gave me mad game, a lot of advice. So that was a great experience for sure, because that was somebody that I saw growing up too. You know,
Mhm.
like doing all that stuff. So yeah, so that was super cool. But that's not the new wave that I'm on now. Um, and my favorite artist had to go through it too. Like he talks about that Usher album that you referred to, his first album, and he was saying like it was him, but it wasn't really him. It wasn't until he wanted to do things his way. That's why he named it My Way. So
Yeah.
that's kind of that space that I'm in. That is, I'm being Ty now. Like I'm truly being Tylan now. The way that I feel like God had intended for this to go. So I'm super excited for everybody to hear it, because this is really me now.
So with Won't Get It, is there a plan for visuals from on that, and how would you do it?
Yeah, it's definitely visuals plan for it. I want to do something different that I'm working on. I don't even want to talk
Yeah,
about it
yeah,
because I don't
yeah,
want
yeah,
nobody to, what I mean. But it's very something. It's something different that I'm working on. That I don't think a lot of artists, uh, in my time are doing, and that's just simply because our brains aren't wired to look at certain types of content, because you know 3 seconds. That's the limit now. We just constantly swiping. So I
yeah.
just I want to do something different, visually, that hasn't been done in a while. And I'm just trying to, get around the right people that can make that happen. But it's definitely some visuals that I want to do for it for sure. But it's a whole grand thing that I have that I'm cooking up in my mind about how I want to do it. Not just for that song, but the whole project as a whole.
But yeah, and I was wondering though, with Won't Get It, because as much as I like it and I've listened to it, I wouldn't have known um, the real story behind it. And sometimes what visuals do, you know,
Hmm.
what visuals sometimes do, it gives you a sense of, oh, like, I don't know if you ever saw a video by Aaron Hall called "I Miss You."
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The song itself was on the album, was okay song, but when the video came out, it just changed the whole narrative of,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, he lost it. What, we all thought it was real, kind of thing. And so I think the power of imagery is good, and uh, the way you may film it may be different, but I do wonder if there would be um I think of Bone Thug and Harmony Meet Me on the Crossroad, where Uncle one of the uncles goes and people are going and stuff. So I do wonder whether there's a part of you that might reflect on some of the losses that you had, and going to talk to somebody, is sitting down and talking, and somebody's
That's
listening.
actually that's actually a dope idea. I might have to give you that one. Have to coin that. You know what I mean? That's actually something I may throw in there. That's
Okay.
a dope idea. I like that. I like that. Yeah, we're gonna have to take that one right there. Yeah, but like I said, I'm definitely cooking something up. I'm just trying to get with the right people that can bring my vision that I have to light. Um, to make it what I want it to be. I
Yeah.
don't. And since I've been doing music, thankfully, I'm 100% independent. Me and my mom are financing everything, and
Wow.
you know, everything I've done from the moment I stepped in the studio from the first time has been at a certain standard. And for me, if I'm gonna put something out there, it has to reach
Mm.
that level. So that's why I haven't put anything out just yet. And I've been watching because something I've realized recently as well, that and just in the world that we live in now, if you want to sign up to be an artist, you are really signing up to be a content creator as well. So in that, I've been watching a lot of, videos, trying to get inspired on what type of content I want to put out there on my social media platforms. And through that, I saw a video that it was talking about how, visually things can look good, and like, the scenes, the settings, everything can be great, but do I walk away feeling something like I want to watch that again,
Yeah.
or feeling like I want to go like really support this person? And not to say that those music videos that I put out in the past weren't great, because I worked with, again, great people. I had great days. I could go on and on about one of the days that I had shooting one of those videos from the past that I've done. But am I leaving you feeling something? Am I leaving you
Mhm.
feeling some type of way about what you just saw? And if the answer is no, then I gotta do something different. And I just feel like in this space that I'm in now, I have to do something different, because I just don't feel like they're like, oh, he can sing. Like he's a good looking guy, yeah, he's cool.
Yeah.
But I want you to be like, nah, he's a superstar. Like he's that next one. Like he's that guy. Like that's how I want you. I want you to be inspired. That's how I want people to feel when they see me or they hear my music. So that's what I'm working tirelessly to try to figure out, and that's something that I do. I'm up all night trying to figure out how I can do that. So
But
when you see something, just know it's something that I've been working tirelessly to get to, and something that you're going to be hopefully in awe of, something that you were inspired by. So it's coming.
yeah, yeah, and I don't doubt the commitment that you're going to put in it. But you mentioned being independent and alongside your mom. Is it street music? Is that your label or
Oh, it's called Styleworks
S-
Media Group. That's the
Stylewood?
name of my label.
Okay,
Yeah.
Stylewood music. I guess what we started off by talking about how the industry has shifted.
Hmm.
Um, Back in the day, you get signed by a label. They take all your publishing, especially your black artists, but
Hmm.
they make you famous. They push your stuff around. You get a couple of hits. They make all the money. Then you have to tour, but at least you have an income coming through.
Right.
The what was for us as consumers is that we were told this is a good album to buy, and then we go buy it. So there's real money coming through.
Right.
Now there is open access that anyone can release music
Anytime. Yep.
at any time. The challenge becomes how do we filter the good from the bad? So it means
Hmm.
it's saturated, but it also means that we don't value the music as much as we used to. I mean, as I said, yeah, I talked about the Crazy Sexy Cool album, the My Life album, the two album by Boys to Men, whether it's
Hmm.
the Jodeci album. We were just buying the actual album. Most of us all had the CDs.
Right.
Nowadays, it's like we can stream it on YouTube, and it's like, oh, that sounds good. Probably listen to it on Spotify if it comes up in the mix. But it's just so much. And so my take is that actually, if we just listen to music and we don't have the same value of music as you, the artist, is really putting all that energy and money into creating, how then do you financially manage when you're working hard to put out music? Because we're not buying it the same way.
Hmm.
Because we can find that something else is going to happen within 3 seconds. Another song's out.
Hmm.
What makes you then want to commit to becoming a recording artist in
It's
2024?
it's content. Content is king. Me and my big bro Audio Jones. Shout out Audio. We talk about that all the time. He was actually the first person that told me um to make me get into this mindset that I'm in. And we have conversations on a regular basis. But something that we always talk about is building your church, and building your community, um, um, of people that know and love you outside of, because music, like you said, you're not making a lot of money from streaming.
Mm,
Not. I mean, you
downloads and
make,
all.
yeah, you're not making money from downloads. Uh, your money is really coming from your fans, that, not again, and I don't even like to say
Yeah,
fans.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Your
That
supporters.
you
Yeah.
build, yeah, that's your supporters that know and love you, and that's going to support you regardless. So I feel like to be a successful artist in 2024, you have to create content, and build that church, and that's something that I'm trying to figure out right now. Because I wasn't, when I started singing, I wasn't trying to be a content creator. I wanted to sing and I wanted to
Mm.
perform and I wanted to do it at a high level. I was thinking about it from the old industry uh, handbook or the roadmap per
Yeah,
se. Um, but now I'm in that mode of, I'm trying to connect really with the people, and build that community that knows talent and loves talent, even if I decide to never make music again.
yeah,
If I decide tomorrow that I don't want to sing anymore, these people still gonna support me because they know who I am and they love me and they agree with what I stand for. So like I said, now it's just all about putting the right content out and creating the right content. And that's really why I'm putting the time and the effort and the money into now. Buying the right equipment so that I'm making content. Like I'm actually filming right now on one of my Osmo cameras just to get B-roll, to show what I'm doing on a day to day that's outside of music. Just
wow,
because the where we are today with our cell phones, like you could get anywhere within one tap of a
yeah,
button. Like we have so much access to so many people now. All you got to do is shoot a DM. They ain't gonna say they're gonna respond, but you can still get in contact with them and they still can see it. So they want to know about you. They want to see you. They want to see what you're doing on a day to day basis. And it took me a long time to accept that, but I'm in that space now, and I feel like it's the perfect timing for me to do what I feel like I'm capable of doing. And people hearing my music and saying that Ty is that next one for sure.
yeah. Well, it's been fascinating. I guess, with all this, do we ever get to see you perform live so that you're not a content creator who puts out music, but actually
Mhm.
seeing you live with a band singing, it's like, oh, okay, he actually can sing.
Oh yeah, no,
With
I'm a performer. I'm a true performer. Like I told you, I grew up doing that. In theater camp at TCTW. Like that's what I was doing. I was singing, dancing, and acting. I was a lead in plays. So I know what it takes to put on a show. Um, and just being inspired by my favorite artist Usher. Like he is a real performer. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
he's gonna go out there and he's gonna give you a show, and that's something that I always hung my head on, is that because that's also where you make a nice bulk of your money from, depending on if you get funded for tours. But something that he always says is that um when I leave, when you come to my show, I want you to leave having an experience,
mm,
a real experience. Like you're not just going up there saying, "Oh yeah, he can sing." Like no, like you're like, "Oh my goodness, what did I even just see?" Like Michael Jackson, the same way. Like Michael, he's the greatest of all time, the greatest entertainer we've ever seen.
yeah,
Um, and people were fainting, like people was
yeah,
just in
yeah, yeah,
awe.
yeah, yeah. And he hadn't even
So
started. Yeah, yeah,
he would just pop out on stage and stand there. People would just, going
yeah,
buck wild. And
yeah, yeah,
I'm not saying that I'm Michael Jackson or anything, and I don't think anybody's Michael Jackson, but I feel like with the work that I put in, that when you see me perform, it ain't gonna be nothing you seen before. It's gonna be a hell of a show, because that's the claw from which I'm cut from. I want to put on a real show. Like I don't want to just go up there and just sing for an hour and a half. Like nah, it's gonna be production.
yeah. I mean, as I said, I grew up when Bobby Brown at 17 was king of the stage. I mean,
Facts.
if you ever see the when he's doing not he's singing Roni on stage, he's
Hmm.
without a shirt, and then he's just doing his at that time it was Michael. Then you got MC Hammer, you had Bobby Brown. I mean,
Hmm.
he was that big, and that's why he's still loved today, because he was just an entertainer. He didn't have the greatest vocals, but as an entertainer, he had the passion. We
Yeah,
see
you gonna
Usher
go
do
see
the
Bobby Brown perform. You definitely gonna spend your money to go see Bobby
yeah,
Brown.
yeah, because
Bobby
he
Brown was
had
that dude.
yeah, he had all of that, and I know Usher was inspired by him.
Hmm.
We've got Chris Brown, who brings the performance. Mario, or Marion, so there's a core group of people that are like, so we can't just sing. We need to also show that this is a show, and we can move. So it would be interesting to just be able to see some of that side of you as
Hmm.
well. But I guess hearing the journey that you're going through, and hearing the actual investment you're making, it's great to see that actually you're not just saying, okay, I'm going to put it out there on Spotify and fingers crossed it a few people might listen to it, that you do have a plan. So that's really exciting to hear.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Like, yeah, because this is, like I told you, being 5 years old, want to be president. Like, I have a lot of ambition, and when I made the decision that this was what I was gonna do, if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it at the highest of levels. And
Yeah.
I'm just praying every day that God just puts me in the right rooms and give me the right opportunities to showcase my talent and show that I belong, and that I can make a name for myself. Um, but yeah, I'm putting in the work day in, day out. Like, I run on the treadmill every day singing, like for at least 4 hours. Just working on my vocals, because that's it. Like, when I'm trying to tell you, when it's time for me to start performing again,
Yeah.
it has to be something spectacular. That's because that's the time that I've put in over these past 6 years, of me doing it, and
Yeah. I mean,
long time.
definitely. Okay, I've got a question from Jordan. Jordan, he says, "Hi,
Hmm.
question for Tylan. Where you based, and how do you choose talent, models, and dancers to work with?"
That's a great question. First, I'm based right now still in DC, but I'm getting ready to move back to Atlanta. So I'll be down there. Hopefully sometime, I'll say after the 1st of January, so 2025, top of the year, I'll be 100% back in Atlanta. And then, how do I choose talent? To be honest with you, believe it or not, I usually don't have any input in that. So the teams that I've worked with, I think I've shot 7 videos, about 7 or 8 music videos, I'll say. And usually the director that I worked with, he'll send over some girls, or like my management has picked out some of the girls. Like, I
Okay.
usually had no part in it,
Okay.
until I got to the shoot. If there was a lot of girls, that'd be like, "Who do you want to be your lead girl?" And I'd be like, "Oh, I like her. She's cool." But yeah, that's how they actually get to the set. I have
No,
no
I do.
idea. I mean, I'll probably have more of a say coming up soon with this new project that I'm working on. Like I
Yeah.
said, visual project that I'm working on. Um, but yeah, like, until they get there, yeah, no, I don't really have much say in that.
Yeah. He says thank you and blessings on your
Thank you,
career.
thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah. I do think, yeah, I think it's if we do get to, I think there's a guy during lockdown who became a household name, even though he wasn't signed, was someone called Avery Wilson,
Hmm.
and developed this reputation of being one of the best singers out there from a talent show, I think, because he was just doing lots of live singing, and maybe singing with someone on a piano and stuff, and that became, because it was a true talent. And it would be definitely interesting just to be able to see, I'm sure, as a content creator, when you're ready, is to, we'll probably see elements of you, you know, doing your rehearsals, dancing, so you've got the performance side, probably the vocal side, probably, with somebody on a piano or somebody on keyboards, sorry, on a guitar, and you're just singing, and so we're seeing actually, oh, this guy can actually sing live. Craig David, who, when he came out with 7 Days and Fill Me In, he used to go around with a guitar player, and he was doing all his shows just him and a guitar player.
Hmm.
And it was almost like, oh, this guy can really. He wrote his song, but he can really sing, because it was just like, strip back, got a guitar player, and listen to my vocals. Just listen to
Yeah.
me perform that. And it was almost like there's no mask, there's nothing to fall back on. It's like, oh, we're seeing you. And I think we got a lot of that back in the day because the artists were like, we've got the vocals and we can sing anytime. Want me to sing a cappella on Arsenio Hall? Sure, I'll do that. There was no fear. I think what we're getting now is more of a, okay, I need to get the lighting ready. Okay, let me get my special mic and okay, I'll do a little
Yeah.
bit here. And I guess I wonder, though, whether we may see a difference from yourself because it's like, okay, I'm going to make content that will show different facets of me, the performer, the singer, the freestylist and things like that, the guy who's vulnerable about what who's going through. Hopefully that will be something as an artist that we can appreciate and be drawn into.
Yeah, for sure. That was actually something that I was well, first things first, because of me filming now and getting B-roll of everything, like that's definitely something y'all will be seeing from me again. Just showing, like I said, my day to day, seeing when I go to rehearsal, or seeing when I go to my vocal coach, or seeing when I'm running on the treadmill singing. Like that's stuff that y'all are going to be seeing again. I'm going to start, actively doing my covers again. Like, just actually singing, showing everybody that, nah, like this is not for play. Like I actually can do it, and do it at a high level. But that was something that I shout out to my team, that was with me when I was in Atlanta when I first started. That was something that we would do a lot. Uh, just getting footage, and I still
Mm,
got videos up on my channel, like of the early days of my career, and being in like media training, and the whole artist boot camp. Not even not
mhm.
media training. It would be choreography, my vocal coach, media training, everything, in one spot. So yeah, that's still on my YouTube channel. People wanna go check that out. Like the making of Tylan. I
Mm,
guess as a 15, 16-year-old kid at that time, but now I just gotta spruce it up and
yeah,
bring 2024 and show this new, and improved. I'll say I'm improved. I'm a way
yeah,
better
yeah,
artist, than I was then. I'm a way better, everything than I was then.
yeah.
That's all you can ask for is just to improve. So I feel like I'm improving.
Well, just as we leave, when should we look out for the seven song EP? Any sort of first quarter, second quarter?
I say in the first quarter, for it'll either be first or second quarter. I just know I got a lot of singles coming out for sure.
Okay.
Because it's a single driven game right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So it's
yeah.
gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a lot of singles before the project drops. I'll work with my team to figure out, when will be the best time to actually put the whole thing out. But it'll definitely be a lot of singles coming. I wish I could have dropped it, when I had planned to, this year, like around the summer. But some things happen, and
Yeah,
everything happens for a reason. I'm
yeah.
disappointed that they would have come out, but everything happens for a reason. And when I do put it out, I know that it'll do what it has to do, well, at that time. So it's
And we
coming
should
soon though.
we
It's
should
coming soon.
expect a video for "Wouldn't Get It."
I'm gonna keep my mouth shut, but
Okay,
just
okay.
know you gonna get it.
Yeah,
It will
okay,
be a video for Won't Get It for sure. It definitely will
okay.
be a video
Well,
for that.
yeah, I always ask my guests before I leave that if you were stuck in an elevator and you had to watch your favorite movie, what's your favorite movie that you'd put on?
Oh, that's a good question. I like that. Uh, if I was stuck in an elevator, how long? Or that
No,
doesn't
no,
matter.
doesn't matter. You can
Doesn't
watch,
matter.
yeah, what's your favorite
Uh
movie? It's like you've got your time on your hands, so let me watch my favorite movie.
I'm an old soul, so I'm gonna just say the first thing that came to my mind. I'm gonna say "Coming to America." Eddie Murphy,
Okay,
Arsenio Hall. I love that
yeah.
movie. That movie is hilarious. So I would say "Coming to America." Um, yeah, for sure. That was the first thing that came to my mind. So I'm gonna stick to that.
I told you I moved to the States in '92. Actually, I came from Nigeria, so I was born in the UK and went to high school and boarding school in Nigeria. So when I moved to the States,
Huh?
I used that whole coming to America, and I said, I'm a prince from Africa, and yeah, being in the South, it worked. Yeah, so so that movie, I owe a debt to Eddie Murphy because
Oh
yeah, I
man.
was a prince from Nigeria, so
Prince from Zamunda. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that
Prince
I
from
was like, yeah, that's
Nigeria. That's
actually
hard.
yes. I
That's
use that,
hard.
so I always remember that.
That's
um,
hard.
the movie's about to come on, so you get a chance to listen to your favorite track before the movie starts. What's your favorite song? All time favorite song?
Oh, all time favorite song. Oh, that's a tough question. Yikes, that's tough. All time favorite song. Yikes. I honestly don't think I have one. Like I don't think I have like a. I love so much music, man.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
shoot. I'm really trying to give you an answer though. I don't want to just punk out and say that. Shoot, I'm gonna go with Usher then. I'm gonna go with You Don't Have to Call Usher. That's
Okay,
my that's my
okay.
that's my that's my song. So yeah.
So since 2000, when did I do start this channel? I think I started 2020. I've
Hmm.
always asked what's your favorite track, and I've interviewed over nearly 200 artists. But I think today would be the first time I'm going to switch the question uh, and
Okay.
say what's your favorite album, because I don't think that would probably be something a lot different. So, but you've mentioned his Confessions, right?
Well, that's my favorite Usher album. My
Okay,
favorite album of all time is really Thriller. Thriller, Michael Jackson.
okay, okay.
That's my because it's he did so like that's the biggest selling album of all time. It
Yeah,
had
yeah,
had
yeah,
9 songs on it. Like
yeah,
I just
yeah,
I just marvel at that. I understand like we're in a different time and like it's not as much. There's way more competition now than there's ever been because of streaming. Because like you said, you can go into your record shop and buy 3 albums, and you may never listen to one of them, but you still bought it. Like
yeah.
if you're not streaming a song, like you, what do you get from it? So
Yeah,
but,
but think about 100 million people went out to buy that
and
album.
bought that album,
Yeah,
facts, and
we
still
bought
buying it.
we bought I bought I've bought two different CDs of it, the extended one and the original one. My
Hmm.
parents bought the tape when it came out in 80 something. But my all time favorite song is "Lady in My Life," which is on Thriller.
Mm,
That's my all time. To me, it's like the standard in how you sing a love song. Just the way
yeah.
he just gets into that. So yeah, I think it's fascinating for somebody who wasn't, you were born after his big heyday and stuff, recognized that he was on a level that just he was just a young kid who just wanted to become better and better, and he took from others to improve himself. And I
Hmm.
think that work ethic has been lost in the industry for many years. People just wanted easy. He worked hard. He started as a kid. He was the youngest, in the Jackson Five, but he
Right.
rose above them because he was the hardest working. He worked hard to maintain that.
Hmm.
So yeah, so as I said, you're the first time I'm going to have asked the question favorite album, and so that would be my guest going forward will always follow through to always talk about their favorite album stuff.
That's fire. I appreciate it. Shoot, because I also I remember you saying that I'm one of the first because you just started back up. So I appreciate you just having me on the platform. Period. But to be one of the first back and to get my own question to
Yeah.
start off, that's pretty fire, man. So I appreciate you, man. This time has been amazing, and I just want everybody to go follow me on all my socials at
Yeah, I'm gonna
official.
post it on this. Yeah, I'm
All
gonna
right,
get.
bet.
I'm gonna post all the stuff in there and stuff. And it's good. I know it's important to. And as I said, I know the community that a halftime chat community. They're mainly used to hearing from people who were from the '90s and stuff, and they're like,
Hmm.
"Who's this guy?" But I thought it was important to be able to give an opportunity to talk to somebody who's out now and understanding how how you're trying to make somebody meant once said R&B is dead, but it's like it's not that it's dead. It's just that people weren't working hard enough, and people were just allowing trying to be rappers because they
Yeah.
thought that's the best way to make money. And listening to you, hearing about the originality of your song, you wouldn't get it, and understanding that journey, it's like probably why I like the song. I listen to it, I say, oh, this is a pretty good song, and I can, and even the laughter at the background, I'm thinking, well, that's really interesting. It's normally we get that in the interludes. If you listen to some of the '90s albums, you have a little
Hmm.
interlude, and that's part of the interlude, and they get to the next song.
Yeah.
But to incorporate it in there, I thought, okay, I wonder how the video would be like, and seeing, I'm not going to try and come up with concepts for you, but the fact that there could be a way of trying to, um, yeah, there could be a way of trying to incorporate, um, somebody trying to pull you back down, and somebody's lifting you through, because actually, as I said, imageries and visuals are great. You don't necessarily need to see a therapist, but
Right.
the fact that you could, something else could represent the therapist, and laughing at the fact that they try to pull you back, but you got back up. I don't know. Just throwing things out there, but I like that, the laughing in the background, and the chatting, and I think that would be interesting to see how you guys work that out.
Yeah,
Um,
that's you gave me a lot of ideas for it for sure. Um, but
yeah, but if you're going to come up with an inspirational album that does become real, that's going to be stuff that we're going to look out for.
mhm.
So I appreciate your time. I know it's about almost midnight here, but it's yeah, here in the UK. But it's been very fascinating speaking to you, and yes, I'll look out to hear the visuals and the videos, and make sure people get to follow you, but also get to look out for stuff that's coming out.
Absolutely. And again, I appreciate you having me on, man. This was a real treat. I truly appreciate it for sure. And hopefully it's not the last time we're talking.
No, yeah, definitely, definitely. As I said, once your EP is about to come out, we'll come back out again, and just to talk about the journey and stuff like that. So that really, really, as I said, as a therapist, a black man, black therapist,
Mhm.
your vulnerability and stuff, to me, that's just amazing. And so, and there's going to be parts of what you said here, because when I over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be speaking to over 1,200 kids in different college schools
Wow.
about mental health awareness. And there are, I interviewed Beyonce's dad last year, and he was talking about his own challenges with mental health and getting a therapist. And I've
Mhm.
used some of those clips to talk to kids today about, about reaching out and getting support. So the elements of what you've said today that I'm going to post and share in the presentation, for
Wow.
them to recognize, how you've been, young, and but also made yourself vulnerable. So yeah,
I
so
appreciate that. I appreciate that. That means a lot. I appreciate you want to include me in that for sure. 'Cause
yeah,
that's what it's all
definitely.
about.
Yes, it definitely is. Anyway, want to thank your team that helped set this up. It's Angelica. I mean,
Hmm.
it's great to
Shout out
do.
Angelica. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Ty, it's been great, and we'll be in touch, and we'll follow through and stuff.
Absolutely. I appreciate your time, man. You have a blessed night, brother.
You too, my friend.
All right.
Take care.
Yeah, you too. Peace.
Bye. Okay, guys. I hope you enjoyed the interview as much as I did, because I didn't know what, with my guests, I never know what to expect. But hearing his journey, his new song "Wouldn't Get It" is really good, and as I said, I'm going to put the link in his bio to the track. But to hear that it's actually him talking about his challenges and things, it's really doubling exciting, and I'm going to be keen to follow his journey and see, and really rooting for him as well. Okay.